Here's our agenda.
Okay, and here's record. How do I know if it's working? We're good.
We're on.
Are we on?
Let's go. It's 7.
All right, well, 7 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, lacrosse fans, parents, extended families, and clearly athletes. We are here live, for real live, at Wildcat Stadium. Myself, Ken Merwin, my colleague Scott Colbert. Behind the scenes, Jesse Wallach, and we are bringing you Senior Spotlight and a season wrap-up. Could have been under different circumstances. In our hearts, it is. But we're bringing it to you live right here, press passes and all, in front of what used to be the grass at Wildcat Stadium. So, Scott, here we are.
Yeah, kind of exciting to be here. Certainly wish there was a lacrosse game going on behind us, but we're going to do the best we can to take something that we did during the season last year and bring it into one event tonight to kind of help out our senior class.
And what a senior class it was. I think everybody watching knows that our 2020 seniors have been playing together for a long time, and between winter programs and the spring and the EAA and the junior varsity and the varsity, it was going to be quite a 2020 season. So this is it. The Senior Spotlight compressed into 1 hour or so, and for your viewing pleasure, Mr. Colbert, Mr. Wallach, and myself bring this to you. And as a programming note, I did speak with Eagan TV, and we should see some spring sports on Channel 20 on your local listings upcoming here very shortly. And our technical directors are working on getting this file transferred over to Eagan TV for broadcast locally on our Channel 20. So without further ado, I think maybe we should consider kicking this off, Scott.
Yeah, we got a couple housekeeping type things to take care of first before we actually get into the senior spotlight. First and foremost, we want to take this opportunity to recognize our Booster Club board. Frank, Chris, Heather, John, there's a lot of work we know that you do. A lot of effort that goes into this, and this program just hums. It's smooth. It's fantastic, and it's the best, right? I think whether you're a player, a coach, or a parent, just fantastic. And it's due to the work that the four of you put in. So on behalf of the players, the families, the coaches, and us, thank you. We really appreciate that all the four of you have do for us and have done for us over the years.
Yeah, super well-run booster club. I think everybody would agree with that. So, and a quick shout-out to the coaches. We talk about the parents. I mean, I think of the parents being kind of disappointed. We know our athletes, things could have turned out better and differently for them. And the coaches, as stoic as they are, I think they, too, are going, what could have been? So, what do you think, Scott? Should we talking memories when we surveyed the kids? Scott, you got anything that sticks out as a favorite memory relative to the lacrosse program and these guys and so on and so forth?
So there's a lot. I could come up with 15 or 20. So many things happened over the years. The thing that sticks in my mind is, many of the guys were on an out-of-town trip as 15s to Kansas City 4 summers. It would be 4 summers ago, and the camaraderie, right? Not just amongst the players, but amongst the families. Coach Felter had his high school group there that same weekend. Those families and those players were also there. Just a big coming together lacrosse program. And look, out-of-town tournaments are a blast, right? Hotels, lots of fun. And hey, the team had some success on the field. And just a great coming together. You saw a lot of players develop and grow that weekend, and it sort of felt like it really molded the nucleus of this group of players and this program. And it just a great experience, I think, for everyone involved in that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the players mentioned that trip as well. One thing that comes to mind for me simply is just the opportunity to have been part of the broadcast team and really get to see the game and the games over the couple years doing it from a different perspective. And it was the official passes that Jesse and I and Scott rocked, non-transferable. So just remember that if your pass does not say non-transferable, you're out. So that's just some of the things that I guess came to mind for us. So Did you mention this, Scott, that we're going to take?
No, the text.
Yeah,
No.
I guess there is a number on your screen, and apparently we're taking texts. When we did it, was it when it was on Eagan TV? We had a whole bunch we had to kind of weed out. We're assuming that we're among friendly fire tonight, so we will probably answer any questions that you have, but I'm going to leave that up to Scott since it's his number.
Yeah,
so.
hopefully no nasty grams coming from the Benilde St. Margaret's camp.
That
So
was
yeah,
funny.
again, just if we'd ask if you would, text in your favorite memories of kind of about the program or the team. We have a lot of individual player stuff that we're going to get to. So, certainly we'd love to hear from you, and we'll try to sneak those in throughout the broadcast as we get through some of the players.
Agreed.
Okay. We're gonna hold off. Hey.
Nothing but the finest technical help on hand tonight, Mr. Wallach, of course.
I tell you, every once it's like a rite of passage in the spring. Okay. We spend some time typically at the Sorensen house testing all our equipment, getting it set up, and let's be honest, that's mostly Ken and Jesse. We just stand around and talk, Ken. But we take credit for it, and so tonight we kind of had to do that, get this ready. We're outside, we're in the elements with the stadium in the background, so we're getting some of the kinks worked out. But we'll get there in a moment. Some things too we could talk about. Look, I think everybody around the program kind of felt that this was going to be a special season, and that we were building towards some pretty nice things. And these kids, all of them have had a lot of success in this program. We went for, as these kids came through, we went 2 years where the 9 and 10 and JV team lost one game between the 2 seasons and the 2 teams. Lots of success at the 15s, the 13s, the 11, and that was building and coming up through the program. And it's certainly a disappointment that we didn't get to see it play out on the field, but it just lots of great things from the kids and from the program, and we were all hoping to see the product out there, but unfortunately that wasn't able to happen.
Well, I know a lot of the sentiment, I think, that I've been told among a lot of the athletes, and not just our lacrosse athletes, but in general, it's like if it was just one individual that was missing the season because of illness or something, I think a lot of our guys and the gals in the lacrosse and the other sports, they realize that this is an unprecedented event in modern history. Mm-hmm. And they're going to share this as a class of high school seniors, student athletes and students. It's something that they're going to remember and they're going to move through.
Right.
And it's going to kind of shape and define their perseverance and things of that nature. So,
yeah, it certainly will. So, with that, so the just some context and background about what we're going to do. Senior Spotlight is something that we did in our telecasts before. Our predecessors, Bob Forsha and Brian Whips, did it. Way to honor the seniors last season. We only had 7 seniors, so we did one every other game. This year would have been a little tricky with the 22 seniors. We're going to try and do it tonight, hopefully within the next hour to hour and 15 minutes, and get this all in. So, again, we'll get through all your players. We kind of tried to randomize everything, so your player will come. If you hear your players, stick around to hear all the other ones because there's some great material in here. The players were asked to fill out a survey and provide some biographical information. We'll cover that. We'll add some tidbits of our own into this. But one thing I wanted to touch on was some of the highlights that came out of the survey as we looked through it. Number one, of our 22 seniors, 20 of them participated in at least one other sport in their time here at Eagan. Yep. That is unbelievable. I know Coach Felter talks to the players a lot about don't just be a lacrosse player. Do something else. Play another sport. Play in band. Have a club. Do something. 20 of our 22 guys played another sport. All 22 players participated in a sport and or other activity in their time at Eagan High School. Tremendous. And look, it's not just about lacrosse. It's about a lot of other things and being well-rounded, and our guys here did that. On to some funnier things. We learned about a road sign or road signs being placed in Coach Felter's yard. Hey, if we had time to do a documentary, I think there'd be an episode about that, but we're just going to let that lie for now. An unnamed player asking Coach Matea to prom.
The question is, did they go?
Yeah,
That's the only thing I don't know.
Who wore the dress?
Who wore the dress?
Parents. The players were asked to talk about their favorite movie, and I was floored, and it warmed my heart. So, right, most of us parents, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? Listen to a few of these movies: Dumb and Dumber, Dazed and Confused, Happy Gilmore, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Good Will Hunting. That's fantastic. Those are our kind of movies, right?
Good movies, absolutely.
Just great to see that. There certainly were some others we didn't recognize, but we're going to focus on what we know.
Right.
Pin Wang, teaching some other fellow players some select Chinese vocabulary.
Always trying to be helpful.
Yeah, you got to learn another language.
You got to learn a second
It may
language.
not be the best words, but hey. And finally, the conversation around the tournament and team travel, I think that resonated through here more than anything. And we'll touch on that, and you'll hear that as we get through the players. So with that, we're going to jump in and do this. We've got 22 guys to cover. Kind of how it's going to work, Ken and I are going to tag team back and forth, read some bio stuff, and one of us may or may not chime in at the end of each player with other things. So off we go. The first player up, player number 1. Jersey number 1, our goaltender, Zach Wallach. We felt it appropriate to start with him, not just because it's jersey number, but he stands in front of the net for us and has hard white lacrosse balls thrown at him at 90 miles an hour. So our goalie number 1, Zach's a funny kid, and he was asked to identify his parents' names, and he simply said Mom and Dad. Jesse and Andrea maybe would be more appropriate, but we'll kind of go with it. Brother Ethan, Zach was, in addition to lacrosse, played football for the Wildcats and also played junior gold hockey during the winter. He plans to attend Montana State. Hopefully he'll be starting there in the fall. Most memorable Lax moment, getting second place in state as a first year on the U13A team. Favorite lacrosse game, this is going to go back to that Kansas City tournament. This was an exciting one. That game went to overtime, that championship game, and the Eagan team won that tournament. Really exciting tournament there. Favorite coach memory, this gets mentioned too, Connor Simpson, and conditioning and running. The players that played for him are probably reminiscing of their time on the hill at Northview Athletic Field. So in this case, Matthew Salamone and JT were made to run the entire practice after walking during their warm-up lap. They got what they deserve. Again, Zach, one of the players that discusses the alleged road sign in Felter's yard that we need to maybe get a little bit more information on. And his favorite quote was, "We must not get tired of doing good, for we will reap in the proper time if we don't give up." Very profound. I had the privilege of coaching Zach when he was younger, both in football and hockey. And again, I mentioned earlier, one of the funniest guys. And one thing that sticks with me about him, though, is if he got hit hard or knocked down really hard, or somebody took a cheap shot at him, a lot of kids will kind of shy away and be intimidated. Not the case here. It went quite the opposite. His dad's laughing at me right now. It fired him up, and I'll tell you, in squirt hockey, he got knocked down, was laying on the ice, went out to tend to him, seemed that he was okay, and he got up and just like lit a fire under him. By the second and third time it happened, I didn't even bother to go out to see him on the ice. I'm like, this is great. He's going to be fired up. And Ken, I remember talking last year as the game was going on, and maybe if he wasn't seeing a lot, I'm like, God, hopefully somebody like knocks him over, whacks him across the head. He'll kind of get like pissed off, and that'll really get him going. And that's what we need. So some great memories there. All right, on to our second player, Joey Melchior. Midfielder number 44. He was a product of Deerwood Elementary School. His parents are Ken and Amy. He has a brother, Evan, who's 21. He plans to go to college after graduation. Favorite lacrosse game was the last tournament game against Stillwater last year, I believe is when that occurred, when he's referencing that. Favorite coach memory. This is going to get back to the Ping Wang language situation here. So We'll come back to this a couple times during the evening. He says when both coaches call pin out for swearing in Chinese. So, hey, you can't get anything past the coaches, right? The coaches know everything. So apparently they even picked up a little Chinese. One of the things we asked the players is to provide their most embarrassing high school moment, whether it's on or off the field. His was breaking his hand in gym basketball. Gosh, how do you do that? I don't know.
Going full speed, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, and another thing, parents, this is going to warm our heart. We asked the players for their favorite warm-up song. I'm going to tell you, for 21 of these players, I have no idea what their song was. I've never heard. I have no idea who the artist is. Joey Melchoir, Big Gun by AC/DC.
Right
guys.
on.
That's awesome. That's what we want to see. Love it, Joey. So he talks, I was leaving a message to the younger players about working hard from the start, not being scared to stand out, let your skills do the talking. Something people may not remember or know about Joey, this draws back to his youth lacrosse time. He was referred to as the professor by some of his fellow players and coaches. And so there's two parts to this. One, Joe kind of looks like a professor, right? I mean, right? He looks like a professor. He did when he was younger, too. And the real part of it is, and some of his former coaches touched on this, just his knowledge of some of the systems that they were asking the kids to use and run. And even at an early age, a U11 and a U13, he was picking up some of these things and comprehending them. And quite frankly, at that point, sometimes lacrosse is just get the ball and shoot, right? And, his coach has said that he demonstrated a knowledge to pick up some of those things that become critical as you advance and get older in lacrosse. Joey Melchoir.
All right.
Okay.
Who's up?
Max Meakin.
Max Meakin. Eagan's had a lot of athletes come through that have several different disciplines, and Max Meakin is definitely one of them. Would have shined this upcoming season like so many of the guys on this club. Worked his way in tight spaces like I'd never seen a lacrosse player do, and it was just amazing. We're going to miss Max like we're going to miss all of these 2020s. One of his favorite memories is related to Coach Felcher, and that old adage that all of our mothers taught us when we were so young: snitches get stitches. So thank you, Mom and Coach Felcher, for those words of wisdom. Again, the favorite memories involve tournament play. Tournaments aren't just about the play and the fun that they have. Sometimes things can get a little zany, and some of those antics resonate in our players' heads longer than others. Here's a warm-up song for you. Gang Up. You got that one queued up on your phone, Scott?
Yeah,
Can we?
It's on my playlist,
let's pop it
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
I was listening to it before the broadcast to get fired up.
And favorite quote: whether you can or whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And pretty profound stuff from Henry Ford. Tommy Boy is the movie that Max has on a continuous loop over at the Meakin household. Message to young players, and I think this is super important. A lot of our guys, mentored some of the lower classmen. Some of them engaged in coaching, but do everything off the top ropes. I think there's some WWE maybe going on over at that household as well.
Well, we figured that.
Tim and Michelle, of course, brought Max to us. Multi-sport athlete. Loved watching him on the ice and on the turf, of course, and on the football field. Looks like he's on his way to Creighton University next year in some way, shape, or form. Favorite memory was going to the state tournament his sophomore year. And again, memories are what this is all about. And hopefully you folks won't invest too much energy in making tonight a memory, because we just want to get our seniors honored and just see that we can get them all off to college next year. Favorite lacrosse game for Mr. Meakin: winning in overtime against Eastridge sophomore year in the section final game. So, Mr. Max Meakin.
Yeah, and I just, you touched on it, Ken, all-around athlete. sticks in my mind up through his junior year was a 3-sport athlete: football, hockey, and lacrosse. And just, I think, one of the better athletes in recent memory, to kind of all-around athlete to come through Eagan High School. It's just, when you watch him play, and it's any sport, it's like you see, it's like this athleticism. That's all it is, and it allows him to succeed at all 3 of those sports, right? That's a hard thing to do these days. That's a really hard thing to do.
Yep. He was given the opportunity. A lot of guys want to kind of settle into one, so we were lucky to have him. Who's up, Colbert?
Matthew. We're gonna say the last name right, Verbeck.
Oh yeah, Mr. Verbeck.
Yeah. Yep.
All
no
right.
Verbeek anymore. It's Verbeck.
It's Mr. Verbeck, Matthew, and he as well enjoyed Coach Felcher's words and actions of wisdom, poking fun at everyone. Well, that is how you make friends. You show them that you just you're one of the guys. Favorite memory involving the coaches was are we divulging? It involved Coach Matea and his prom aspirations. Josh Alexander was the one who decided that he was going to take Matea to prom. Most embarrassing moment for Mr. Verbeck. He overslept and showed up to basketball practice like any good athlete would, with 15 minutes left in practice. So, I mean, hey,
right?
Yeah, sure, why, RAF is the favorite warm-up song. The Royal Air Force, it must be like the national anthem over there or something, I'm guessing. Favorite quote: once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat, which, it's interesting. I'm a Spartan from Simley. These guys are like, they've bonded on the turf. They've bonded as a class, and 2020s across the country kind of share what's going on right now. Mindhunter is the favorite show. Mr. Verbeck, Dave and Joe Lee. Siblings, Stephanie and Eric. Basketball player, another one of our multi-sport guys. Off to the University of St. Thomas, one of my favorite schools. Favorite lax moment, scoring his first varsity goal against Chanhassen. And one of his favorite lacrosse games was the championship game versus the Lake Show at the Duluth tournament. I'm guessing that was some of our Duluth adventures up on the lake when we played ourselves basically a number of times, because we had the most players up there.
Yeah. We our second team made it to the championship game against our first team.
Right. It was a lot of fun. So super fun having Matthew play to be around him as much as we were in different situations, and of course in lacrosse.
Yeah, so. A couple of things. Matthew adds to our legacy of tall players here at Eagan. We'll get to another one later in the program, but there's a number past. He also was on the basketball court. I just, with Matthew, it's the improvement and development. I believe he, started as a freshman on the 9 and 10 team, and 2 years later, he's on varsity, and saw some playing time last year. And it's, again, that's what this is about too. And I think a program does a nice job of kind of giving everybody a fair shake. It's not where you start, it's how you grow and how you develop, and it's where you end, right? And so nice progression there. We're aware we're still working out some technical issues and on the soundboard and stuff.
We're coming through too clear. That means that we need to do some adjusting, because this is all about the seniors, not about the guys shuffling the papers here.
Yep, so we'll get it going. So we're getting your text and stuff, so we'll
keep them coming.
Test them out. Is that okay? I'm getting the thumbs up that I'm better, and Ken's getting the thumbs up that he's better. So
I think so.
All right, we've got some. We'll read through a couple more here, then we'll get into some of the texts that are coming through.
Are they coming through?
Yeah, we've got I got a few here. We'll have to check to make sure they're appropriate, because we've had issues with that in the past. But we trust in the audience is going to be good tonight. So who do we have up?
Merwin.
Got Zach. Okay, just making sure. So Zach Merwin, number 4, defenseman, D-pole from Northview Elementary. Parents, Ken to my right, and Marie watching at home or at a viewing party. Sisters Amanda and Kendra. Zach also played football here at Eagan, and our second person here tonight heading towards Montana State in Bozeman, correct? Is that okay? Good. Got my geography down. Favorite lacrosse game, the Lakeville North game last year. I think that was a big game, just an identity building game for the Wildcats. It was at the time it was a pivotal game in the South Suburban Conference race. And at that point, Eagan kind of separated himself and made the conference race a two-team race. And of course, what effectively was the conference championship was settled here in a monsoon a couple weeks later against Pryor Lake. Talks about favorite coach memories. Talking with the coaches before and after practice, there were always jokes. You know what? This is a serious thing. People work hard and take it seriously, but got to have some fun too, right? And I think that's part of the culture of the program. Oh, here we go. In case you forgot, Josh Alexander was the player who asked Coach Matea to prom. In case you forgot. Oh, this is funny. So the most embarrassing moment, I remember this. He was running up the field, clearing, and no one was coming for him, and he thought he had green turf. Turns out he didn't have the ball. Well, no, I mean,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Quote here: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Attributed to Wayne Gretzky is certainly true. And hey, here's one of our 80s movies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, a classic. Whether you're 18 or 45 or however old you might be, great movie. Not that we would condone skipping school. However.
You don't have to now.
It's been known to happen.
Right.
Couple things I want to add about Zach. He was the lone freshman on the 2017 state championship team. He's kind of the last member of that group to be at the high school. Certainly a huge accomplishment for him and being a part of that team and, getting the opportunity to be on the field. And, boy, to put that championship medal around your neck is just not many people get to do it. It's a fraction of a percent of all high school athletes that can say they were a state champion on a team or individual. And he's one of a very select group of people that will ever get to say that. And it's interesting, if you're in a meeting or something at work, and sometimes people will use things as icebreakers. Tell me something that nobody knows about you. And every once in a while, there's a person that says, I was a state champion in high school. Yeah. Everybody stops and starts paying attention and wants to hear about it, whether they're into sports or not. And so that's something he can always share with people. Zach came to lacrosse a little late. He started a little later than everybody else. And it was just phenomenal to see him develop and grow as a player from starting as, was he a sixth grader when he started? Sixth grade or seventh grader?
Sixth grade.
And then by ninth grade, at the end of ninth grade, he's in a celebration at a state championship game for a varsity team. So big accomplishment. The biggest change I saw in him, the Kansas City tournament, I think it was the first time some of the guys had really experienced some high level of competition. It was a struggle for some, and I remember the first game he was trying to get his footing and understand what it was like to, hey, there's attackmen coming against me that are really good and really fast, and they were maybe taking advantage of a little bit. 6 games later, by the end of the weekend, we had ourselves, say, a PTP long pole. I mean, it was a phenomenal change in the course of 48 hours to go from, oh, gosh, how do I react, to, hey, I can shut these guys down on. It was tremendous, and it was like the acceleration from that weekend to less than a year later being on that state championship team was truly tremendous, and something that really sticks with me about Zach. All right, I think we have Nick Lawrence up next.
With this high-tech display model stuff here going.
Yeah, we got
right.
We're not savvy enough
That's
to electronically
quite a photo.
Display.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are pushing buttons and things are like fading in and out. We're trying to battle the wind here.
Yeah.
So
we've got the stream machine over here. I'm sure there's some way to upload images to
there
it. There
probably is.
That thing looks like it's from 1996.
It does. But
here
we go.
It's getting us to you. So that is great. All right. Nick Lawrence, number 28 midfielder, coming to us from Pinewood Elementary School. Matt and Tamara are his parents, sister Jacqueline. Hey, Nick's one of these guys that was well-rounded both academically and athletically. Played football, cross-country, a member of the National Honor Society, and a student ambassador. When we we talked at the opening of the broadcast about, 20 of 22 players are involved in an activity. 20 of 22 played another sport. Nick's one of our guys who kind of cross both that athletic involvement and that academic involvement. And again, it's fantastic, right? That's at the end of the day, we're trying to produce some good, responsible young men that'll be leaders as they move out into society. And you start seeing some of these things like, we've done our job, right, as a community, as a high school, right? So great to see Nick involved in a number of those things. He is going to attend Mankato State in the fall for aviation, so it's a good thing we trust him if he's going to be flying planes around. Memories, most memorable Laxo moment, scoring his first goal of his career. My favorite lacrosse game was the Eastview game last year. I think Connor Simpson was the coach of this team and a hallmark of Connor Simpson teams. And I hope Connor's listening tonight or gets a chance to hear this. But as we talk about his conditioning program, but
right.
The day, this is Nick Lawrence, the day we didn't have to run a mile freshman year. And a mile was probably the warm-up in Coach in Coach Simpson's conditioning program, right? Favorite memory, the summer tournaments. Talked about, his message to the younger players is practice, play wall ball. It seems so simple, but the ability to catch and pass a ball. I don't know, there was times last year, Ken, even in the varsity games, when we were playing some of the lesser tier teams, it was like they couldn't catch. These are high school varsity teams, and it's what Nick says here is so important. It's like, it's simple. If you can catch and pass, you're on your way, right? It's just the basics, the fundamentals of the sport that are so important, particularly as you advance into the high school level. So, I think back, I had the opportunity to coach Nick in football. Jesse did as well, I think in both third and fourth grade, was it? Yeah, both years. And Nick was a beast. He was a lineman for us. He wasn't able to carry the ball, and I tell you, he would break the huddle, and his eyes would just get big, and they didn't blink, and he was a monster. Nick could handle two guys at once, pretty much. He could block the guy in front of him, take care of the guy to his side who his teammate needed help with, and just a beast on the offensive line. And I just remember the tenacity and the intensity that Nick showed even at that young age. A lot of guys at that age, when you tell them they have to play a line, they're like, "Oh, coach, I don't want to do that. I want to be the quarterback. I want to be the receiver." Right. And Nick was like, "I'm going to knock somebody over. I'm going to take somebody out." And I know both of us just loved having him on our team, and great kid to have around. So, Nick Lawrence, let's take a brief moment, and I'm going to look through some of the things here. And again, there's a mix of technical feedback here versus what's happening. Marie Merwin wishes everybody a happy senior night. I don't know who all of these are from. Fast Feet Diffley and roasting in the aluminum frying pan at the Duluth tournament. If you were there, you know what that's about. If you weren't, you can speculate. Coming in, this is the game-winning, again, if we had some technology here, the game-winning goal of the Kansas City tournament that we've referenced. That game went to overtime, right? Carson Willery was making the call. Unfortunately, we can't get up on the stream machine, but, yeah, that was certainly a good memory. My favorite, again, we don't see who these are coming from. My favorite memory was when that shot in Max's photo went over the net.
We may have to go back to that picture. Over the
net. This is coming in from the Ottos. The Kansas City trip was epic. Just kind of reflecting some of our thoughts that they're missing the season, and all the fun that we have as a family, a lacrosse family here. So keep those coming in, and I think we are going to get back into our program here.
All right, who's up?
Going to keep reading it. Hey, players, keep sending this stuff in, and provided that it's not profane and it's reasonably appropriate, we will keep going with it.
All right.
We got a photograph to get up here, and
we do.
We're going to jump back.
Looks like it's Ryan Colbert. So you see the photos there held by Dad. Again, favorite coach memory. It seems like there's a common thread here. Obviously, they involve a coach, but there's the whole yard sign bit. And I don't know if it's yard sign or signs like we talked about early. It's a classic bit, and I hope they did it right with either some with multiple signs or if signs that maybe actually lured some people into driving in his yard. That would have been super sweet. Like, you must drive here. This is the coach's yard.
Yeah, it feels like we need to. If we could ask some follow-up questions, I think that would be question number one.
Ryan does comment here that it sounds like it was as good as it gets. So this must have been quite the prank. So most embarrassing moment: scoring 0 goals and 13 shots on net against Burnsville in 2019. The guy had a laser of a shot, so I don't know if they were all bad percentage shots or what. Here we have a Lil Wayne song, so I know that's a hand-me-down from you, right, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got the Lil Wayne thing.
Kind of adding my R&B influence, right? Right, from South Minneapolis, right, Jesse?
This makes sense.
R&B,
soul. This makes sense for coming from Mr. Colbert here. Smooth sail for his favorite quote. Smooth seas never made a skilled sailor, and it's kind of profound. First of all, he's one of the few kids I know that used to drag a boat around Eagan and just like drop it in any little pond or puddle that would pop up. But also too. These are some tough seas that these kids are navigating in general, but also too we're broadcasting to athletes and families of a team that would have been really high achieving, and it's just really strange that this is what we got. Dazed and Confused, one of those all-time classics. Some good information for the younger guys. Enjoy the ride while it lasts. It will be one of the most amazing experiences of your life, and it goes by fast. Of course, Scott and Julie, sister Elena, played club lacrosse and junior gold hockey. On his way to University of Nebraska at Lincoln. Favorite memory, I think this one pops up again, but winning JV state. Which was super awesome, actually, and a real testament to that 2020 group of guys because they were the lion's share of the talent on that team. And his favorite lacrosse game was the 2019 shootout with South. So again, Ryan too, one of the guys that he was a pole back in the day, and it was interesting because there was a lot of that physicality came from his being a D pole, and a lot of times I would look back and go, I wish he wouldn't have made that move because you don't get so many poles. You only get a handful of them on each team, and we've had some good ones over the years, undoubtedly. But Ryan made a great transition away from the pole, and super huge contributor like so many of our guys, and it was just great watching him and spending time in the box with his old man. So
that's right.
You spent a lot of time with him, so you must have something to add to this because you've been around him more than anybody athletically.
Yeah, I mean, we just like to. I think I want to touch on the JV, the state championship thing, and look, people can say what they want to say about it, but that team went undefeated. They were, I believe, what was it, 15, 14, 0-1 or 19-0, whatever the number was. And look, to get through a season undefeated in this conference against that schedule, and let's be honest, it wasn't just undefeated.
Right.
These were blowouts.
Yeah.
I think back to we were talking about the Chanhassen game that year with the snow being shoveled off the field. That team dismantled a fantastic Chanhassen JV team, who the goalie on that team could have been a finalist for Mr. Goalie this year. It was like 15-1. I mean, they tore that team up, and they tore most teams up they played, and it was just like that was. How many times do you go undefeated in a season, right? And a lot of our kids got to. Yeah. I mean, and hey, look, I don't know if we'll have time to touch on the rivalry with Stillwater, but in that championship game, we played Stillwater, and that was a huge contest, big-time game, and, just certainly a fun memory, right?
Yep.
All right.
Mr. Jack Thompson is on deck here as we move our way through page one, and we're getting real close here to hopefully you guys are hitting us up with some texts, and the technicality stuff is working out still. Jack Thompson, another coach memory is the Curly Q. The discovery of Curly Q. There's a backstory there, I'm sure. I don't know it, but we'll try to have someone text us some of the backstory on the discovery of Curly Q. We're referencing now. We're talking about Josh and Coach Matea going to prom together. And that was it must have been really something. I know it was a big. So when we went to prom, we didn't like paint signs and all that kind of stuff.
No, it was just you just asked the girl.
Yeah,
right? Maybe
right,
you got
exactly.
Her a flower or
yeah,
something.
right. So it's such a big deal, but it's so cool that Josh put the effort in. Yeah. And I don't even know if Coach said yes or no. Actually, I don't know. The most embarrassing moment was falling on the stairs at school. That's been known to happen. Another RAF. Verbeck and him are probably like, sharing files. That's illegal, boys. You can't do that anymore. He doesn't have a favorite quote. I think that might be my new favorite quote.
I don't have
one.
Hey,
So there you go. The Lone Survivor is his favorite movie or show. Again, all these guys have something to contribute to the younger guys coming up because there is still a program. Work hard, make sure you have fun. And I think these kids, that's an actually important point. They did have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? It's easy to have fun when you're going coast to coast on a season and you're winning state championships, et cetera, et cetera. They had fun even when times were a little more bleak. And they weren't bleak very often for this group of guys, but they still did. Comes out of Red Pine. John and Rhonda. Got Maddie also in the household. Was a football player and an intramural basketball player. On his way also to University of Nebraska, getting into the world of business. The summer trip to Duluth, it was summer trips, and those were some fun times up on the lake. The weather was beautiful, I think, both times.
Boy, the view, right?
And the view.
What a great setup.
Yeah, and this. Yeah. There's an ordinance against Salamonian shirts up there now because of that trip.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the moose, of course.
Gosh, when we enter the city limits again, we're gonna have to get quiz. Are you from Eagan? No. No.
We do not know anyone.
I do not know a Salamonian.
And then another reference to that really memorable tournament in Kansas City, where a lot of guys kind of got their feet underneath them because that was a tournament that they did not go down, and no one said, "Hey, you guys are going to come down here and mix it up and make some noise." Wasn't supposed to be that way, but it sure did turn out that way.
No, and we were I believe in that tournament, we were the lone association team, and that we were playing regional club teams.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of them expected to lose to us.
No.
And there was some frustration, right?
Sure.
If I recall right, we lost our opening game and then got things adjusted and came back strong. But great things about that tournament. And,
super awesome.
Kids stepped up.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. All right, we are moving on again. University of Nebraska at Lincoln.
And again, just something that strikes me about JT over the years, just the speed. Almost looked like he was a track guy.
Yeah.
He would get a pass or pick up a ground ball, and the ground he would eat up moving up the field. It's like, we like him as a lacrosse player, but boy, he could maybe run the 100 meters out here.
And deceptively fast too. It didn't look like he was moving, but he was moving.
Yep, and he's another guy too. Started. I believe he was on the 9-10 team his freshman year, and 2 years later, he's on varsity and getting some playing time and getting some points and stuff. So, another great thing. So, let's see. We got a couple more. Oh boy, wow.
They're coming at us now.
The text line is.
We may have to blank out the number, maybe.
Oh, okay. We kind of covered one here that came through. Oh, terrible.
Oh yeah. Is that the trophy one?
No. Coach Felter says to pick up the pace, he has to go to bed. Oh no, Coach. No, they're gonna be turning the lights on here in a moment. We're gonna be out here. This is a 2-hour program.
It will be. He can go to bed. We can tune in later. We got a text about that Kansas City tournament yet again. A parent for such a huge accomplishment, probably world's smallest trophy. For such a huge accomplishment. All right.
Crisis. See, as Ken mentioned earlier, we got to deal with the do we need those?
That one's on deck.
To deal with the elements here, this is not easy work.
Pick it up, he says. Okay, Curly
Well,
Q. We can.
Yeah, you know what? We need a. Well, maybe we better not ask the players for information on that.
That's right.
That's for the next episode.
He could drive up here and just start, swinging because he's only down the road.
Well, here's a question. I think this might warrant some dissection. Frank Willery wants to know from Ken Merwin.
Bring it, buddy.
Who would win an arm wrestling match between the two of them?
I don't see you around here, Frank.
I'm with Ken.
Where are you? You knew where I'd be. You knew where I'd be.
Yeah.
Good job, Frank. That's an ongoing bit. Super fun. We'll do it.
All right.
Anything else of noteworthiness?
We'll get to
or
one
just
more here,
arm wrestling nonsense?
We'll see.
Salamone.
Okay. Let's get back into. We've got more of these coming. Keep them coming. We'll get back. And now we got to get. We were Stone was our next.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
You've got the picture.
I do, Mr. Jack Stone.
Okay. Again, we.
Time lapse. We're on Geritol time now, so we'll keep it moving.
Yeah. I think
Mr.
we need to take a
Stone.
break. We'll just take a break and we'll ponder about Coach Felter for a few minutes just to prolong this. All right, Jack Stone, number 5, midfielder coming to us from Deerwood. Aaron and Beth are his parents. Jack's an only child. We share that in common. I'm also an only child. So in addition to lacrosse, he's also a basketball player. Next year, he's headed off to Lewis University. In addition to pursuing a business and marketing degree, will be playing for their lacrosse team. So it's awesome to see. I know there's a handful of other Minnesota players that have gone down there this year and next year. So it'll be exciting to follow the Lewis lacrosse team and see how Jack does down there. Highly confident he's going to be a very successful college lacrosse player. To excel at that level, you need incredible amounts of athleticism, which he has, and it's going to be great to watch him down there. Most memorable Lax moment, winning the section championship against East Ridge his sophomore year. Another player here who cited the Lakeville North contest in his junior year, which was last year. Again, we said that was kind of a milestone win for the Wildcats' hard-fought game here on the grass behind us at Wildcat Stadium. We got another one, putting the roadwork sign in Coach Felter's yard. Feels like we can, maybe some of the texts are giving us a little information on it, but it kind of feels like we may need to get to the bottom of this before the night's out. Hey, we had another falling down. This is his most embarrassing moment. Falling down the main stairs his freshman year. Didn't we have somebody else that fell down the stairs?
We did. I think there's a lawsuit that I'm sensing that there's some litigation pending here. These stairs don't sound very
I don't know.
safe.
There's something's going on. District 196. They're fixing our field. Maybe they ought to
take it
some
indoors.
care of the staircase. Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. We love the field. We love the new field that's going to be here over the summer. All right. Head, heart, hustle, favorite saying. That was team motto last year on the shorts and shirts the players wore. Jack talks about, a message to the younger players. Take everything serious. Every practice, winter league, fall ball, everything. Everything matters. Everything helps you grow and develop. And it's a great message for the younger players to hear. Boy, how many times last year in the press box did we watch Jack move down the field, and all we could say is it's a gazelle.
Yeah, I was just thinking in my head.
His
speed comes to
stride.
mind.
It's the speed and the stride, and he would chew up turf, and you'd watch. The best part was watching these poor people try to chase him down. It's like those 3 fools think they're going to catch him. They think they've got an angle on him. It's like Randy Moss. By the time they get to where he was, he's 10 yards down the darn field, and right stride length, stride frequency, he's got both, and he just chewed up field. His ability to create shots. The shot itself was phenomenal, but that ability to create and open up field and make that shot, and I think that when you talk about having success at the college game, that separates players at that level, and I think he's just going to be an asset to the program at Lewis as they, would have been a new program this year as they build a program to have a player from his lacrosse ability and the person he is, to have that kind of person to help build your program. So, he's a great player for the program. Just it was a thrill to watch him.
Yep, it was a lot of fun. All right.
Okay. Our next player is Pin Wang, our exchange student at Eagan High School here. This is a great story, folks. I think a lot of people are familiar with this, but as I mentioned, Pin was an exchange student here. Last year, junior in high school, plays lacrosse for the first time, comes out for the lacrosse team. That says a lot about Pin. It's great that he was willing to take that risk and come out and participate on the team. And I want to get back to the program a little bit here. I think we're an elite lacrosse program in this state. We're a top-level high school program in this state. In most sports, in most elite high school programs, if somebody that had never played the sport before decided to come out their junior year, the answer would have been a swift no.
Right.
They wouldn't have even let them try. Not only the program that Coach Felter set up, it allows it. He comes on, he's part of the team, he makes a team, and he gets to play. He gets to experience something while he's here at Eagan High School and experience a really successful part of the school and a big part of the community here in Eagan. So great story personally about Pin. Great story, too, about the program. And everyone can be a part of this, right? In addition to lacrosse, Pin also played football here at Eagan High School. Just talks about his most memorable lacrosse moments. Having fun and meeting new friends. And sometimes we get really wound up about winning and how many goals you score and what honors you get and all this stuff. And you know what it comes down to this is he's going to remember his time here and his time with the program, and that's fantastic. He lists his favorite game as the final game of the state JV tournament last year. I believe that was against Stillwater, I'm not positive. Mm-hmm. Again, great memory, right? So we talked a little about some foreign language lessons that went on this year, and Payne even says teaching Coach Simpson a swear word. So not only was his fellow players, but the coaches got in on the act too. He lists his favorite movie as Harry Potter. Message to the younger players, and this is his price: have fun enjoying lacrosse. There's a lot of good stuff going on here, and it's great to have all these people out in the program. So, Pin, it was great to have you be a part of the program. We hope you enjoyed your time here, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Yep. It's like you said, Scott, it's a real testimony to the program itself to have someone come out that has real minimal exposure to the game, and to come out to feel welcome, to be welcomed, and then to gain much from the program that wasn't directly attributed to athletic accomplishments, but just the camaraderie and the friendship. It's super important. Pin, good job. Anything good coming over the wire?
Yeah, I got one.
Let me guess, Felter's going to bet on us again or something, right?
Well, it's, I guess,
When you get to be 50.
Yeah, you get sleepy, right? It's 8 o'clock almost. Got one here we'll touch on later with a player. Now we're getting all kinds of stuff in here. Okay, we'll save this one for the next
segment.
The next person who there's a comment about Nebraska and their football helmets. We'll touch on that a little later. We got one here. Going to skip that one. Someone's suggesting that we have a whole session about Coach Felter.
Outtakes.
When
helmet cam.
sayings. What he's doing in his retirement. So many things. When you read through these comments in the survey, your initial thought is, as we were all probably watching The Last Dance, the 30 for 30 program, like, wow, there's the makings of a larger documentary in here. And a number of these things could warrant an episode, but Coach Felter gets his own episode.
He gets his own episode.
All right, let's see what else we got here.
I see another season for Curly on the turf, and I'm hoping so, because my boy will be away, and I know where the place is here, and I'd like to come up and get my spot back. So we'll see what happens.
All right, cool. Okay, so let's get back to the players.
Right. Mr. Henning.
John Henning is up.
All right. So many memories are going into this Coach Felter documentary that John Henning says there's just too many to recall. We're going to have to get the biographer to give Mr. Henning a call so that he's able to provide some backstory. Bill and Ann with Jack also, they're involved in a different kind of way. Shot trap. And did the bass fishing club here at Eagan. So a couple things that you just don't always necessarily hear about. He's on his way to the University of Minnesota. He has a favorite warm-up song that I haven't heard of it. At least it wasn't RAF, which by looking at another one, I do understand that stands for something. It's not the Royal Air Force. It's something else. Anything But Silence, which is probably my theme song actually at this point. And another one of those people that says you miss 100% of the shots that you do not take, which is clearly obvious. He's a Kung Fu Panda fan. And again, it's been kind of through the Simpson and the Matei and Felter. You do the work and you have the fun. And that's kind of it's kind of an underlying theme with Eagan Lacrosse. They were physically in shape and they had fun. They got yelled at a lot, I'm sure, but they had fun, and that was kind of thing. So nice observation there. A midi for us again, who shot guns and launched bass plugs off to the U. His most memorable last game, he says he enjoyed them all. And same thing with the favorite lacrosse game. Enjoyed them all. And that's a testimony because there are ups and downs in all of our athletes' careers. And to just say, you know what? Looking back, I mean, especially now when this is your lacrosse, folks. Us three guys talking to you and holding up pictures and keeping you from better things like sleep and other types of things. This is your lacrosse season. And to say, you know what? It was all good. So there you have it, Mr. John Henning.
Yep, absolutely great part of the program. Coached him in soccer when he was younger, back in the kindergarten, first grade soccer days. One of the better soccer players out there now. He stuck with that for a while, played a little travel soccer with one of the local clubs here. Good aggressive player, good athlete. Scored himself a lot of goals there, and joined, like a lot of these guys, started picking up the lacrosse stick, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and brought some of those skills to the lacrosse field. I'm always going to know him as a guy in the boat, right? Big fishing guy, right? I know him and my son spent a lot of time fishing. The Hennings have a nice cabin up north, up in the greater Walker area. Just a big outdoorsman, definitely. And that's cool thing about that is you can do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right on.
All right. Let's get our next player.
Damian Schultz.
Oh, hold on a second. I think we have a rebuttal.
We have a rebuttal.
What? Disregard any. Oh, jeez. Now we have to disregard his text. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. All right.
I think his ears are burning. I don't think we're getting a text from him or about him. The ones about him should be rolling in here pretty shortly.
Well,
These guys don't have to worry about him anymore.
I wonder if the players have confiscated his phone possibly, and
that could
retribution is going to come swift and furiously now.
Damian Schultz is up.
Look at these locks.
Yeah, right on.
Now
that's a favorite. Wow. That's somebody's favorite. That's Jesse Wallach's favorite moment. Damian's hair.
Oh yeah. I mean, we just are envious of this. If we could have half that.
How could you not be? Jim and Heather, Devin, and Saren. I don't know if I know the younger ones. There you go. Undecided about where he's off to next year. I believe it says. Some favorite moments, of course, was the state tournament sophomore year and the section final game versus Eastridge that sophomore year. One one of his favorite coach moments, because we know that the coach is still plugged into us here during tryouts during freshman year. He's passing the ball around with Tommy, Ryan, and Billy, and it bounced off Billy's head. So there are a lot of things are starting to come together during tonight's broadcast, and kind of went right between Felter and Matea. And, because Bob's really concerned about his players. I mean, that's one thing I've always liked about Coach Felter. And he yells over and says, "Hey, give us a shout if that ball's coming our way." So, you just damaged, you just set Billy up for the next 4 years of his legacy. Let us know if you ricochet one off someone's head and it's coming our direction. So another RAF fan. And again, another guy, one of our 4 captains this year, Damian, and a guy that was kind of a quiet leader and clearly had some advice for the younger guys, and a tremendous lacrosse player. And, Scott and I had the pleasure of being up in the box and watching him along with his teammates do what they do. But the kind of guy that says, work hard, have fun. Yeah. And it looked like, for the amount of talent and the ability that Damian demonstrated, it looked effortless in a lot of ways, because it just seemed like he was kind of living that legacy of, we didn't come and watch practice. I don't know how hard the kid worked, but I'm clearly able to believe that he did work hard, because he made it look so easy and had a lot of fun. Now, when you have a lot of success, you have a lot of fun. Ups and downs and all arounds. Now we're getting a firsthand, real-time experience about, this is a downtime. We're going to get through this, and but watching Damian do what he did and not seeing the work he put in, it was a pleasure.
I had the opportunity to coach him in hockey for several seasons, and just the practice habits were this won't be shocking to anyone, but just amazing. Just doing what you're asked to do, doing what needs to be done, working on the basic stuff.
Yeah.
And we. As we talked about him during games last year, the first, again, whether it's hockey or lacrosse, it's the hands.
Yep.
It's just a gift, and the ability to make things happen, whether it's with a hockey stick or a lacrosse stick, and controlling that ball and making plays. And again, that comes from practice and work, right? The vision and the game IQ too. Just, you would watch things happen, and we would we didn't call his name for that goal that just got scored, but he set the entire thing up.
Right.
Going back about 30 seconds, and you would watch him draw defenders off into a section of the field to open up the field for his teammates. And, again, not here to talk about statistics, but he's a guy who typically would have about an even amount of goals and assists.
Yeah.
He's not only contributed his own success, but the team's success, and he's making the other guys on the field better, and he's almost one of those guys where it's like, he's almost like having a player and a half, or almost 2 players, because of the matchup trouble he presents for the defense and how he can control the game by controlling the ball and setting the tempo. And just a great teammate, great hands. And look, we can't go through this program without mentioning the best nickname of all time, Blonde Jesus. I mean, this is it, right? And
right on.
It's one of the greatest, right? And, truly great hockey player, great lacrosse player. Great to have him as part of the program.
Yep, right on.
Okay.
All right, who's up next?
All right, let's see.
I'm photo guy.
Let's see who's getting cranky with us now. It's our Nebraska critic again, and now it's we're being told to lay off the coach. He should be commended for being able to text with his flip phone. That was not Bob. That's from a player, I believe.
Nice job.
Wow, awesome.
What do the kids say? Oh, snap. All right.
Okay, so we are on Wyatt Bucky. Number 29, deep hole from Pinewood. Mark and Jolynn are his parents. Sisters Erica and Aaron. Another guy here, well-rounded, cross-country, junior gold hockey, National Honor Society, French club, right, covering the athletics and the academics, doing both exceptionally well. He's off to Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana next year to study engineering and play some lacrosse, which is exciting. Here's another JV state tournament as his most memorable lax moment. Again, we're hearing that from a lot of the guys on that team, played a key role on that team. he talks last year. His favorite lacrosse game was last season. He was against Burnsville. Was his first full game playing varsity. He'd gotten some opportunities to dress, but that was the first time he got in and played, making the jump to the varsity level. He talks about the coaches just, propping him up and holding him up, when he was not feeling the best about himself or when he was challenged, right, and the coaches being there to support him. One more, Josh asking Matea to prom. It resonates. It's across the board, people, everyone. Wow, this is great. That's another episode, right? I think the Matea prom episode is its own.
Yeah, expose.
Yeah, I mean, that's TMZ kind of.
Yeah, there could have been another player or another coach involved, little love triangle kind of thing. Being a parent of a D-pole, I always watched, Wyatt when he played, and it comes from a long line of, we've had some really good poles in this program in the years that we've been involved, and this was a year when I think we were just going to see the whole team come together. But I always love seeing Wyatt out there. He moves super well, and we've had poles that have been big and strong. We've had poles, that can fetch guys and run them down with great stick handling, and Wyatt kind of did it all. So it was just tremendous to watch him and be a part of the team, and just to say, hey, we're good. If we get a guy that needs a breather or we get a guy that gets nicked up, we've got guys that can fill in, and so they all kind of watched each other. And I never had any concerns about that position on this team.
No, and I think, we're not going to spend too much time speculating about this year, but I think this is a guy who his athleticism, his hands, his ability to see and anticipate, he covered more of the field because we saw it in his playing time last year. Like he anticipated that play developing and happening, and he got himself in a position to make the play. Picking up a ground ball, breaking up an offensive rush or something. And this is a guy who I'm pretty sure at the end of the year, there would have been a lot of people outside of the program saying, where did he come from?
Right.
And Ken, we would have been talking on the telecast, well, we could have told you about this 2 years ago. And it's depth in the program. He got his turn, got some time last year, and I think somebody who really would have stepped out this year and who really would have made a name for himself and, led to a strong defensive group. So I just another player I had the opportunity to coach. Just a privilege to have him on my team in hockey. Privilege to watch him here every day, every single moment of every single day. A leader, hard worker. There was never a moment. And this is now 4 seasons of hockey. You practice 60, 70 times a year. You play 40, 45 games. A kid's going to have a bad day. A kid's going to be slacking a little bit. A kid's going to just not be in the best mood. No, every day. And I on my teams, I gave out little things at the end of each practice and game for somebody that, kind of lived the team's values. And there was an award at the end of the year for who had the most. Over the 3 years I did this, first year he was second by 1. The second year he won it running away, and the third year he was second by 1. Every day, every game. Just phenomenal. It's as good as it gets, right? Great to see him develop in lacrosse and grow, and again, would have had a solid year.
Yep, absolutely. All right.
Oh, no new text.
All right. Well, Coach Felcher went to bed, so we got that going for us. Flipping the page here. Robbie Otto.
Yeah, Robbie Otto's up. We'll get his picture up. All right, let's. Okay, so I'm on a new page here too. We got to. All right. Number 21. He is listed as a midfielder. Was primarily a face-off specialist, or also Fogo. And here is use either of those terms. Again, 10 years playing lacrosse. He was, one of the first group gang of these guys to sign up and get going. Parents are Peter and Donna. Also, like myself and Jack Stone, an only child. He also did cross country and played junior gold hockey. He will be attending the University of Wisconsin at lacrosse next year. Favorite memory, most memorable lax moment, again, winning the state JV tournament in 2018, like many of the guys have listed. Hey, this is a cool one. His favorite lacrosse game. So this draws back to there was a fall tournament every year, the Great Pumpkin Shootout.
Right
took place somewhere in the West Metro, and there was a variety of teams. And we'll touch on some of those teams and the name of those teams as we get to a later player here. But the group always had some success over there, and even in the years where we sent a couple teams over there, both had some success. And there was a 2016. We remember this. There was a shootout to conclude the championship game of that tournament, and that he lists as his favorite memory. Again, yeah, a lot of fun times at those games over there. A lot of them were played in and around Hopkins or Minnetonka. So those were some fun tournaments to kind of wrap up the fall.
Yep.
As we sort of headed from fall sports into to winter sports. So he talks about. He was also part of, in addition to that undefeated JV team, he was also on the previous year on the undefeated team with 9-10 team with Connor Simpson and Justin as Coach Simpson and Coach Justin as coaches. He talks about a message to the younger players: practice like you play and play like you practice. Right? How many times the coaches say your practice habits have to be how your game habits are, and you can't. You can't go 75% in practice and expect to hit 100% in a game. It just doesn't work that way. You got to, practice like you play like you practice. Hey, Robbie's a kid who found his thing, right? And I think this is really important. Every team needs a face-off guy, face-off specialist. And he found that thing, and he worked on it and put a lot of time and effort into getting better and kind of honing and developing his skills. And it's always cool to see a young athlete, a young man, kind of find their passion and find their thing. Hey, this is what I'm going to be good at. This is look, it's hard to make a varsity team in high school sports. It's hard to make a varsity team in a program like this. It's not easy. He found his thing. He found his path there, and as an 11th grader, again, another guy, 9-10 as a freshman, JV as a sophomore, varsity starting face-off guy as a junior. That's a heck of a progression over the course of 2 years to go from that to being, one of the starters at a position. So great work by Robbie. Certainly great times here at Eagan Lacrosse.
All right, where are we going now?
We have Cole Gibson.
All right. Cole Gibson. Ken and Dana. Alyssa and Kyle.
Kyle was a member of the 2017 state championship game for those fans of the program.
Sure, right on. Another one of our multi-sport athletes. Played hockey and football. Not sure where he's going next year for his post-high school career. Academically and otherwise, mentions the Kansas City tournament, which is there's a theme here in these guys, and that was a big memory in there. And that's so cool that they have that memory to share, because this year could have superseded that memory. But we've got that and a few other really important things. The home game against Prior Lake, I'm pretty sure I know which one he's talking about.
Yeah, it sprinkled, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it got a little damp, but it wasn't too bad.
Raindrops.
What did the guy from Caddyshack? I don't think the heavy stuff's coming down for a while. Big fan of Coach Matea's pregame talks. I think he was on the field out there scouting out the section of turf he was going to be taking with him. But again, too, a lot of shout-outs about the coach. Some of them kind of humorous and anecdotal, but being a former high school athlete myself, you know that you respect these guys for the wisdom and the stuff that they bring to the team as well. Favorite memory involving the coaches when the boys went to Cub during an out-of-town tournament.
Follow-up question, but we assume there's trouble.
Precisely. I was just gonna, how do you scoring? Apparently, his most embarrassing moment, not to be, I think to outdo trying to clear the ball when you don't have the ball. Scored on it. Scored on his own guys. Hey, you know what? That's the easiest goal you can get. Big Jay-Z fan. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory, for a kind of a piece of enlightenment. These guys worked hard. They worked hard in all their sports, and the guys that played lax only or multi-sports or extracurricular. And these guys, you look at the GPA of the team, you look at what they've been involved in, this is a bright and ambitious bunch of guys. Mm-hmm. So we didn't get to see them do what they do. But we're going to be hearing about these guys later in life,
absolutely.
especially since he probably got many life moments from his favorite movie, which is Happy Gilmore, of
best,
course. I mean,
yeah.
that's mandatory viewing. And again, enjoy the moment. Make them count. Roll Cats. I mean, truly. And I think all these guys are going to remember that they've been Wildcats. So, Cole Gibson.
Yeah,
Scott?
there's a lot of things I could say about Cole. I just want to touch. He a 3-sport athlete, through junior year. Key contributor on the Eagan hockey team this year, right? They had a nice this year and last year, a couple nice seasons. So many things to say, but I think, a couple texts came in about this too. For those that were there, I believe this was back in 11U. There was a tournament out at Prior Lake, and we were playing Stillwater, our nemesis, and just a hard-fought lacrosse game. And it went to overtime, and that didn't settle the score. And we got done with the overtime, and we learned about something called Braveheart. And most of us were new to lacrosse, and we're like, what is Braveheart? We learned that Braveheart is one-on-one. Whole field, goalie on each side, one-on-one. Our guy that got called up for our team was Cole Gibson, and he went to battle against a Stillwater player. Folks, the lacrosse field's 110 yards long. It's about 60 yards wide, one-on-one. I will tell you that day it was hot. It was a tournament weekend. We had played multiple games. The sun was out. Cole had played a full game. The intensity and the tenacity that he showed in that Braveheart, he literally played to the point of exhaustion. He collapsed. I mean, he left everything on the field, and we talk about that as a cliche, leaving everything on the field. He left everything on the field. If you're left with one memory about this young man, that's it. For as long as I know him, if somebody mentions his name, if I see him around town 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, it all goes back to that day and that moment and that amount of effort. It was it was one of the most amazing things I've seen in playing sports, watching sports. And he was 12 or 11 at the time to put forth that type of effort. And that was a battle.
He had to run the field 3 times. He won the faceoff, shot went over the net.
Right.
Stillwater gets the ball, comes down. Zach saves it.
Yeah.
And then outlets it to Cole, who then comes back down the field again.
So Jesse's refreshing my memory on some of the details here. So it was a sequence so they faced off. He made 3 consecutive trips up and down the field at full speed. Folks, what is that? That's 300 to 400 yards straight of running one-on-one after playing how many lacrosse games in a weekend? And it's the craziest thing. So fantastic effort, and we wanted to make sure that we got that out there tonight. And I know a couple of folks
Way to be remembered.
Touched on that. Yeah, I mean, you never think that what you're going to do when you're 11 or 12 years old is going to have such a profound influence.
Yeah.
And here we are 6, 7 years later talking about it. And it's, something when the guys get together, when they're 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and older. And, man, that's something they could talk about. That's something you could talk about. Hey, I was on this team, and this guy left it all on the field.
Literally.
Everything. Yeah.
All right. Moving on to Jackson Hoover. Comes to us by way of Susan and Doug. Also a basketball aficionado and going off to the University of Nebraska. Sounds to me like there's going to be a few Wildcats down there.
So the texter, the University of Nebraska texter, reminded us of the age-old Nebraska joke where the N on their helmet stands for knowledge.
Like that.
I love it. I thought that was kind of like an old man kind of joke, and I think one of our players brought it to the surface again. So
like that.
That's fantastic.
Interesting that a Coach Colmer's memory comes up and his athletic abilities, and when I think pristine elite athlete, I know Coach Colmer is the first person that comes to mind.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
40-yard dash, 100-yard dash, agility, he's got it all.
Oh, yeah, 40-inch vertical, right, yeah. I mean, yeah.
40 inches tall.
Hey.
And he's got.
See, Coach Felter, we're picking on another coach.
There
now.
you go. See, so
Coach Comer, yeah.
Super nice guy.
Absolutely.
Big blues Blue Notes by Meek Mill, which is of course on my playlist right now. All American. His message to the younger guys pretty simple. Good luck. Kind of a gesture, most likely of. Hey, listen, I think there's a little bit of that involved in any of the successes that we enjoy. So, favorite quote, it ain't about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can hit and keep moving forward, says one Sylvester Stallone, which, again, talks about the fact that you're not just going to, cruise on through this. You're going to get beat up on the way. So we certainly appreciate those words of knowledge and wisdom. JV state tournament, another common theme, and a JV state tournament game against Rosemont, as far as his favorite lacrosse game that comes to mind. So,
yeah, absolutely. One of the talked to one of his youth coaches today, and it's funny. Talked about play on his last name here. They called him the Hoover. Because of his ability to vacuum up ground balls. If you got to get a name like Hoover, right, you can get a nickname and a reputation for doing that. So I thought that was a great story. The coach talked about his ability to get the ground balls. Great hardworking kids in practice and in the games, and just a great playmaker. From his position, from his defensive position there. So great to have him as part of the program.
Absolutely.
All right, what do we got here? Oh, we got some more coming in. It's a picture of some players with their shirt. Oh, it's the prom photo. Okay, so I don't know if we can see this, but so this, not only did Josh Alexander ask Coach Mattea to prom, but he enlisted, like the kids do these days. He enlisted his friends, and I can't see who they all are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semi-shirtless Eagan lacrosse players with prom spelled across their chests. Can you? Here, let me actually do it. What? Oh, no. Okay. Wow, this prom story just keeps...
It's got a life of its own here.
Wow, yeah.
Well, it's you've got your Braveheart moment and you've got your prom moment. Those are the big takeaways from Eagan Lacrosse, apparently.
Right. We are multifaceted.
All right. I think we're up to Mr. Meisinger.
Yep, we are working our way through here.
Right.
Another one of our captains, an LSM, and LSM in defense, came to us from Woodland Elementary School. Wears number 6. Parents Chris and Tom, and Frank, Ava, and Ingrid, quite a brood over there at the Meisinger household. He was involved in addition to lacrosse, involved in student government. He was a link leader here at the high school and also played junior gold hockey. Our 4th and final member of the team, heading off to Lincoln, Nebraska for the University of Nebraska, talks about his most memorable moment. It was his first game playing LSM at a tournament in Chicago, and he fell in love with the position. Here's another player who made a position switch. He started his lacrosse career as a midi, and was developing into a fine midi, a good midi. A coach recommended a position change. Another guy who has some speed, right? And I think the coach saw the combination of speed and athleticism and felt that there was an opportunity here. He kind of takes a leap of faith, makes the jump, changes positions. Again, never an easy thing to do. An LSM is a highly skilled, kind of specialized position. You got to learn how to use that D-pole first, but then you got to be a functional midfielder, right? And he successfully made that jump, and he found his thing. He found his passion, and he found his place. And he made his mark. He was up on the varsity here in 10th grade. Named was a captain as 11th grader. Would have been captain again. Was captain again this year. So really cool to see that. To see somebody find that position and that passion, and just the success he had with it right away. Kind of really quickly made that made that transition into that new, and it's a difficult position. I think a lot of kind of layman watchers of lacrosse will like, oh, you just go out there and you play defense. It's like, no. You play defense and offense, and you transition. You're coming on and off the field, and you got to be ready for a lot of different things. You got to play both sides. It's a tricky thing. You got to have a lot of different skill sets to be successful at that position. And he was able to accomplish that. His favorite lacrosse game, the 2018 section championship game against East Ridge. Here we go. Another roadwork sign in the Felter's front yard. Just can't get enough of that. Funny memory involving coaches, teammates, or players. Hey, any time over the past 4 years when Felter gave a speech or talked in general. Always can count on Coach Felter. The good one here, most embarrassing high school moment. This certainly happened off the field and in the restroom at Eagan High School. The third day of his freshman year, he was doing his business, and the stall door happened to open, and a group of upperclassmen were waiting for him and saw him. And that's just, you want to push the button and hit the trap. You just want to flush yourself at that point, right? Classic. So, boosh. Yeah. Flusher, let her rip. Hey, favorite quote, if you get knocked down, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and keep moving forward. Just a great philosophy. Great captain Tommy was last year and this year in the role he played. Would have loved to see him do that out in the field too. So just great to have a great leader, lots of poise and maturity, another player that I had an opportunity to coach in ice hockey, and just it was clear from an early age he kind of had the leadership qualities, and you could see that people would follow him, and there was a sense of leadership there, doing the right thing, getting the guys going in the right direction. He's even at a young age a guy you could like go to and say, hey, get the guys together, get them out on the ice, get them over here, make sure they're listening. He could kind of lasso up what could be a kind of a rowdy group and get them moving in the right direction. So it was great to see that leadership even from a young age, and all of us certainly got to see that here on the lacrosse field and in other activities for Eagan Lacrosse.
Great kid. N is for knowledge.
N is for knowledge. The Nebraska 4.
All right. Onward and upward. Mr. Eklund. Get that photograph here. I thought we had an assistant coming in. We didn't think.
We need a staff.
We do need a staff.
Yeah, we do. We need a staff.
And as for knowledge,
and
I'm not on my way to Nebraska in any way, shape, or form. All right, let's try this.
All right. We got a text coming in. I wonder if it's going to be a rebuttal from. We got to go back to this. I think we have a quote.
We have a correction?
No, we have a quote from Coach Matea. But first of all,
where'd you guys have dinner before prom, Coach?
So we saw Coach Matea earlier tonight, and he was digging up pieces of the Wildcat Stadium. I guess he's going to returf his yard. Although MSHSL rules prohibited me from attending, this is the prom, it was flattering when Josh asked me to prom. Made me feel special and pretty. Oh, this is great.
This is good stuff.
Wow, good stuff. You can't beat this.
Thanks for straightening that out.
Wow, and hey, good luck on returfing your yard. When you're done, you know what? Come and help Ken and I out. I think we're making a move to get some of this fine turf behind us as well. Okay, Carson Eklund. Wearing a number 10 was an attack from Northview Elementary School. Parents are Nathan and Beth. Sister Ella. Ella, she's 16, a student here at Eagan High School as well. Carson, in addition to lacrosse, played junior gold hockey. He is heading off to North Dakota State University next year to study engineering. His most memorable lax moment, Coach Simpson, Connor Simpson, that is. I don't know if there's been any Matt Simpson references in here. Huh. I guess
The son gets all the attention here. So Coach Connor Simpson making them run for an entire practice because the JV team was talking smack about our managers. So another part of the Coach Simpson conditioning plan, right? This is a good one, too. His favorite lacrosse game. Every lacrosse game is my favorite game, except the ones we lose. But when does that happen? So I believe... So the teams Carson was on his first 3 years here, I don't know if they lost a game or possibly won. Would have been 9-10, 9-10 JV. They may not have lost a game. It's possible. Again, so yeah, quite a run there to be on those caliber of teams. Yeah, really, really cool to have that kind of experience. Again, most athletes can't again say, hey, in 3 years, we lost or tied a game or whatever. Again, I don't know all the details, but quite an accomplishment. All right, getting back to the Great Pumpkin Shootout.
Right on.
So many of the teams that went over there that these guys were on were not called the Wildcats or Eagan. They were known as the Devils, and this is a name that a couple of our dads, Jim Schultz and Nathan Eklund, kind of came up with. And, boy, all kinds of controversy about that name on so many levels. And you can imagine, right, there's going to be the group of people that gets uppity about the Devil and understand some local athletic administrators took issue with the name. And then as we went to tournaments, nobody knew who these people were from, and were wearing sometimes black jerseys or black type highlighting and stuff, and we're called the Devils. Where are the Devils from? Who are these Devils? And then the Devils start winning all these tournaments and winning all these games, and it just brewed up all this controversy. Awesome. And it kind of took on a life of its own, and just really funny. So it's great that Carson here says our team name was the Devils, and we walked over every team and took home the Great Pumpkin Shootout title. Yep. So all kinds of fun with the Devils, and I know the Devils participated in a number of tournaments over the years and took numerous iterations, but certainly a legacy of the Eagan lacrosse program, although it was a unsanctioned legacy of the Eagan lacrosse program at the youth levels.
Yep. A lot of fun.
Another reference here to Penn and some language lessons. In this case, Penn was teaching Zach Jacobson, one of our juniors on the team, how to get some Chinese swear words. Well, it turns out that in the process of that, Coach made Zach Jacobson run. That seems pretty fair, right? I think that's a great way to handle it. Exactly. I can't say I would do it any other way. So it talks about a message of the younger players. Hit the wall, put in the time, have fun with your teammates, and keep our streak going to state every year, I think, referencing the JV accomplishments. So this is, I think, of all the players, again, besides my own son on the team, I've known Carson the longest. I believe he was 3. Ryan and Carson were at the same daycare in our neighborhood together, and that's where we met and our families met. This is, again, whether it's hockey or lacrosse, this is just a committed player. He kept working at it, kept working at both of his crafts, both of his sports, and was committed to making himself the best player he could be. Just a great teammate. Sometimes, I'll talk to some teams I coach about, be a great teammate. Just be a great teammate. And Carson probably embodies that more than anybody. He's a guy you want on your team. He is supportive of his teammates, just a great attitude, funny kid, fun to be around. Again, somebody you want to coach, somebody you want on our team, great kid. Just love to have him around. Had the opportunity to know him now for 15 years, and wish him luck as he moves on, and hope to see him, back in the neighborhood when he's home on break and home from other endeavors. So that's that. Ben Willery's up next, I believe.
Well done. All right.
All right, Ben Willery wearing number 20. An attack from Pinewood. Parents are Frank and Jennifer. Ben has 2 brothers, Brandon and Carson. Again, another multi-sport athlete. Believe he was a soccer player up through junior year. Also played hockey, was on the varsity hockey team this year, and of course was a lacrosse player. So kept those 3 sports up through junior year and down to 2, which is, again, in this day and age is remarkable, right? Unbelievable. He's going to head off to Arizona State next year to study mechanical engineering. His most memorable lax moment this was winning the Ryan Googans Award, which he was presented last year at the banquet. I believe it was last year. I think so. And his favorite lacrosse game, again, another reference to the JV state championship game versus Stillwater in 2018. Again, a lot of guys making reference to that accomplishment. Favorite coach memory on the sidelines with Coach Matea talking shop. Also listed as a funny memory, so it feels like we need a follow-up question there if we had time to kind of understand what was going on in that scenario. Favorite quote, nobody cares, work harder. Message to the younger players, work hard and have fun. They're kind of a theme and a hallmark here about working hard, and this is one of the most probably determined and focused players and athletes that I've seen. The determination on the field, and he just was able to get things done. Another player who used his athleticism to have some great accomplishments in lacrosse. I want to say as a tack, he kind of developed his own style, and it was a blend of some speed. He had some good upper body strength and just a great shot, and he combined all those things, and he was really tough to defend. You could see it, if he was up one-on-one against somebody, or even if he was double-teamed and going up against 2 guys, players weren't quite sure how to defend him. A lot of times attacks are going to try to be quick and fleet on their feet and dodge and dance around. He was tough and strong and might have gone right into you, and I think it takes some deep holes back, and they don't know what to do with him. And he kind of used it to his advantage, and he would move around the field, and as the game wears on, all of a sudden you see number 20 get the ball, and you're a deep hole, and you're like, well, what's he going to do? Is he going to shoot? Is he going to pass? Or, oh my gosh, he's coming at me. And Ben's a really strong kid, and it was cool to watch him kind of develop his own style into that position and become very productive and just turn into a nice attack, a really great lacrosse player. So it was kind of cool to watch. So great player, successful athletic career here at Eagan High School, and we wish him success at Arizona State.
Well, I certainly think that Ben was the kind of player that was going to be like that missing link for us this year. I kind of saw coming into this season, I saw big numbers, and I saw him taking some of the pressure off of some people that our opponents would have expected to kind of put the numbers up and get the team headed in the right direction. I think it was going to be a gigantic year for Ben, and in doing so, I think it was going to be a gigantic year for the team. Yeah. And then here we are.
Because I think there's 3-4 players who, had we been broadcast, we would have been calling their number and name a lot.
They get a lot of attention.
This is a guy who, and we would have said, hey, we expect these people to produce. Here's another guy who I think at the end of the year, people outside the program would have been like, where did he come from?
Right, yeah.
Who's he?
Where you been hiding him?
Well, had you been paying attention last year, had you been paying attention that 2018 JV season, you would have known.
Yeah, it was going to be fun.
This was coming. A player just like, oh gosh, if we could have, I wish we could have seen it, because it would have been cool to watch that play. And I think you're absolutely right that addition into that offensive system and how he would have complemented the other players, I think would have benefited everybody involved. So, excellent.
All right. We're in the final leg here. Coach Felcher, if you're still with us, maybe we should send someone to check on him. Someone go up to Felter's and ring his doorbell and film him when he opens the door.
Hey, wait, I have a crazy idea. Put a road sign in his yard.
Hey, there you go. No one's done that before. No. You guys do it once. Everyone's mentioned it. I'm not sure if it only happened once. Matthew Salamone comes to us by way of Victor and Karen. There's a story behind that, too. And that ordinance in Duluth about upper body clothing. So Matthew comes to us by way of Pinewood. Again, we said Karen and Victor, Willie and Victor. played junior gold hockey, triple exclamation point. Planning on going to college next year. One of the many people that had as much fun in Duluth as his parents did up there, so that was super cool. Talked about the sophomore season versus Jefferson for his favorite lacrosse game. Matthew talks, he does get, again, this common theme about enjoying what you do, guys, because while it may not be something as, global or huge, it just goes by so fast, I mean, I remember Matthew from football years and years ago, and then to think now that we're sending these guys off into the world is not only terrifying, but it also kind of shows you how fast things can get away from you. And don't wait for an opportunity, create it. He's a hardworking kid. As a matter of fact, I mean, actually, Matthew's another lacrosse player that I was super looking forward to calling his number and to seeing him being one of our taller dudes, work in those tight spaces and really make it happen for this team. So here we are. We'll have to just pretend that, it is what it is. Most embarrassing high school moment, he forgot his shorts for a game. I don't know if that means he showed up in something else or if all of a sudden he stepped off the bus and went like, oh, just jock strap and thigh skin, I mean.
Oh, wow,
okay.
That would be, so that, I mean, that could intimidate opponents.
Well, I'm a little scared right now, so we got that. So, like I say, Matthew, great addition to the program, great personality, and another guy that would have kind of just blended in and come out of nowhere, putting up numbers and taking heat off of guys that other teams game plan for.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, a guy I think, would have been exciting. A guy who would have, gotten that first varsity goal this year would have been exciting to call that. And I think, it just added to the repertoire of what we have and just would have made the team better.
Looking forward to it.
Just so many memories of Matthew. I'm going to share one from hockey, and I know we're here for lacrosse, but this goes back to a tournament in Squirts, and we had practiced some shootout stuff a couple days before our tournament, and I told the kids that the idea is just get the puck in the net. Don't try to be Alexander Ovechkin or Sidney Crosby or whoever. So Matthew's turn comes up in practice, and he tries this ridiculous spinorama move, and if he fell, the puck didn't go in the net. It went in the corner, and I'm like, okay, man, I'm not going to call his number if we get into a shootout this weekend. Lo and behold, the first game of the tournament, we get into a shootout, and we're 4 skaters out of 5 in. And, at that point, a lot of the kids at that age are kind of scared to go be a shootout player. They don't want the attention on him. Matthew comes running down the bench. Coach. I've got it. I got to do it. I'm like, no, man. He goes, no. My brother, we're in the driveway this week. We fixed it. We worked on something. Like, but she goes, no. It's what you said. I'm looking around the bench. All the other kids are scared at this point. I'm like, all right, go. So Cool Hand Luke skates out, confident as ever, gets the puck, skates down, does a quick little nifty move, I think forehand to backhand, in the net, over, we win the game in advance. Used him in shootouts again over the years, just calm, cool, confident, went back to that move and money every time, So it's just a funny story, from trying to be Ovechkin to be simple, just knock it in the net. It's a simple game, right? So, yeah, just a great kid, great story. Would have been cool to see him out here, contributing to the team this year.
All right, we've waited for this moment, and no, it's not the last player, people at home. It is, we've got 2 more. This is the king of the prom.
Our prom guy.
Josh Alexander. He totally is prom guy tonight. And again, what do you think his favorite memory is? A funny memory involving a coach or his teammates asking Coach Matea to prom. And it wasn't just a solo effort. He had help. We had the visual evidence. Yeah. He had no embarrassing moments in high school. I think Scott and I can both relate to that. He was perfect.
Yeah. He's right, exactly. Yeah, like us. Yeah,
Kanye West fan. Favorite quote, again, Happy Gilmore. He says, "Why don't you just go home? That's your home." I think we all remember that. He's a Rick and Morty fan. Message to the younger guys, stay in your lane, listen to the upperclassmen that aren't the captains. So I like that. I mean, again, too, it kind of says, hey, the captains have probably been around the block once or twice. They've got something to offer. Comes to us by way of Judy and Joshua. Got Julia back there at the house. Another one of our link leaders. Lo and behold, from everything from road signs to Cub shopping trips to you name it, there's other things that we were stricken from the record tonight. A lot of these guys were link leaders. A lot of these guys are going off to study in things that I wouldn't even consider studying. Mr. Alexander is on his way to Iowa State University. He's going to major in engineering. So there you have it. Favorite Lax moment, winning the JV state tournament his sophomore year. And his favorite lacrosse game was against my alma mater, Simley, because got to play in his first varsity game. Another guy that, just there's so many guys that contributed in a way that, wasn't flashy.
Right.
And it wasn't like all about minutes, et cetera, et cetera. They came out, they put the work in, they stepped up when they needed to. Another again, I'm preferenced to the deep holes.
Yeah.
And a guy that could go out there and do what needed to be done. We were very blessed in the several years we were involved in the program to see great deep holes on the turf at all times. And Josh was one of them. And I'm glad it sounds like he enjoyed it. He got to go to prom. I mean,
with the coach.
Yeah. I mean, does it get any better than that?
Yeah. Again, this is a guy who just you kind of alluded to, consistent, comes to work every day, works hard, both, whether it's in hockey and lacrosse, and you think over the course of years and years and years of every practice, bringing it every day, working hard, working on your craft, and just that development and that growth shows, a guy who, was on the varsity hockey team this year at Eagan High School. That's hard to do in this state. That's really hard to do, to make a varsity hockey team. He did it. Was going to be a contributor to the varsity lacrosse team this spring. We're certainly looking forward to see him out here. Just, again, that two-sport athlete, kind of well-rounded leadership positions. So many good things. Just a great worker, great teammate. Great to have him as part of the program.
Super awesome.
Well, we're down to our final player. Then we'll have some closing remarks. We have learned that Coach Felter is still up. There is photo evidence of him in a garage, potentially having a beverage. Ken is threatening to come and arm wrestle us at Wildcat Stadium.
Just don't bring Frank Willery with you, and we'll be fine.
Yeah,
so.
we can handle it. So Billy Diffley is our final player, and before Ken gets into the remarks on Billy, we're not sure what.
There's a $50 bill that's missing its image.
Yeah. Is this President Diffley?
President Diffley. If you're going to wind up being president someday, you do want distinguished photos of yourself.
Right.
Although I'm sure we can find plenty that aren't so distinguished.
I mean, if Coach Matei or Josh Alexander run for public office, we've got dirt on them.
Right, precisely.
If Billy Diffley runs for public office,
yeah, he's good.
I mean, he's the only one that had the decency to wear a suit.
The
and tie.
only one that had the decency to dress up for the occasion.
Look at the look is kind of iconic too.
It really is. He's looking good.
Wow,
Mr. Diffley. You can't say enough about Bill. Again, not our shortest guy on the team. And I think he was in that photo. Actually, he participated in the Matea prom.
Yeah, he was like a foot taller than everybody else.
His favorite, one of his favorite quotes is "Stitches, snitches get stitches." I think that was a Felter possibly, or a Grandma Diffley, one of the two. You look just like Skinny Pete, and I'm saying that. Oh, that's his quote too. I was looking at Mr. Colbert here saying, "You look just like Skinny Pete." Favorite movie, The Italian Job. Listen to Colby. That's his message to the younger guys, probably in reference to Colby Sorensen, who's going to have to step up in a lot of different ways as these 2020s move out. Comes to us by way of Christopher and Christine. Over and by way of Deerwood, got Joe, who is already waiting on everyone out of Bozeman because that's where Billy's going, along with our two Zachs. Again, the U15 tournament in Kansas City and the tournaments up in Duluth as favorite moments and favorite game, scoring his first varsity goal as a sophomore against Farmington. We got the old Felter in the yard sign business. Something that's Billy, hardworking guy, physically attributed to kind of ward off guys and make space and make shots, and he's out there having fun. And talk about having fun. I mean,
yeah.
I think of winter league games and even regular season games when he's just kind of like just interacting with the people on the sideline.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
I jotted that down as one of my things I want to talk about. It's like I remember one instance we were I think it was a 15U game, and he had dropped an easy pass or a ground ball or something up at the Northview field, and he was by the sides. He just turned and said, "I just can't catch the ball today." And the roar of laughter from the fans, and it was just that sort of that attitude, right? Like, hey, yeah. And there was numerous times there was conversations with the spectators during games, and I think we kind of came to look forward to it.
Well, and the other thing that sticks out with Billy that's not exactly lacrosse related, he was our pit captain for the football season, and not an easy job. Going out there to support your classmates, to support on the field, but also to keep people engaged. And I was there to watch the game, of course, but I was also there to watch the pit. But I was there to watch the pit captain because I love the kid, and it was a lot of fun. It shows a lot of spirit, Wildcat through and through. Like all of our guys, and these guys, this is what they're going to remember. Nights freezing to death, shirtless. He stole a page from Vic Salamoni's playbook.
That's right, yeah.
Going shirtless, or the prom invite, and just enjoying high school. And you know what? You drop a pass, some guys will break their stick over their knee. Billy just looks at the crowd and says, "It's just not my day, guys.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah, nothing to see here."
Yep.
And super entertaining, super inspirational kid, like a lot of our guys.
Yeah.
And some memories that I have come from these little nuances that these guys brought to the table into this season over the years.
I think I remember last year, I think there was a bit of a joke with us in the booth. We were trying to pin down his height, and I think at the start of the season, we said he was 6'3", and somehow the myth and the legend grew, and by the end of the season, he was 6'8". And if you listen to our broadcast, he grew an inch like every couple weeks.
He did, which is a great thing.
And we don't know exactly how tall he really is, but we landed on 6'8" at the end of last season. Gosh, if there had been a season, he might have been 7'4".
He could have been a 7-footer
by now,
easy.
right?
Right.
I mean, unbelievable. Just a guy. You want to have him on your team. You want him as part of your team. I mean, it's as simple and straightforward as that. You want him on your team to be a part of who you are in the group you're doing. And, again, he's going to bring that skill forward with him as he moves into, college, his professional life, all of the different things he's going to do. You want to be around this guy, right?
Yep, I would agree 100%. Heck of a Catan player, from what I understand. Don't trade him your lumber. I'm not kind of new to the game, so. Are the phone lines lighting up?
Yeah, we've got again, the Coach Felter Arm Wrestling Challenge. Nathan Eklund sent us a picture of one of those Devils championship teams.
Yep. Now, those were good times.
I don't know if you can. Can you? There we go. Got it. Okay. That's kind of what's coming in here. Some other recognition and stuff. Just good stuff. Yeah, funny stories. We've got a Victor Salamoni video. He looks like he's. Is
that the Duluth one?
Hold on.
It looks like Duluth.
I don't know what he's doing. Okay, so
you never.
So we got it. We'll got through the senior spotlights again. Normally we would have done that over the course of the year, a couple each game or something like that. So we wanted to do that tonight to kind of give the seniors some semblance of what would have happened during the season. Okay, we're going to play Jesse's going to play a video.
This is Victor taking his shirt off up in Duluth.
So this is at the Duluth tournament, and Victor is about to disrobe partially and show us his six-pack. Or not. Oh. Michelangelo.
Classic.
Wow.
Super great guy.
Unbelievable. No. So, kind of, we thought this would take a little longer than an hour. It's almost 2 hours. So, we'll move into our...
It's a mini-series.
See, the other thing, too, is if Ken and I just got together and talked, we have all this paper and these notes and these script. We could have totally talked for 2 hours about this stuff without any of this. We could have just started rambling.
And had we done senior spotlight during the games, there would have been time constraints. So
Yeah.
we were a little unbridled, and so we appreciate you guys sticking around for Coach Felter included.
Yeah.
So
He can sleep in tomorrow morning.
As we wrap up, we talk about the season that could have been, and one thing that I think about, and Vic will appreciate this, we have struggled. Face-offs are such a key part of this sport, and we've had great success, and we've been building towards success in that area. And we don't win a lot of face-offs at different times, but we would pick up what we would call the secondary face-off, or as I coined the phrase, the tertiary face-off. And that's kind of the analogy that I'm going to kind of think about moving forward. Us getting through this 2020 year in its weird existence is like not winning the face-off, but picking up that ground ball that gets kicked around for a while. And so we all have to think about, it ain't about winning the face-off straight away. Just get the ground ball. And that's how I'm going to move forward. The 2020s in Eagan, across town, and across the country have taught me something. And it's been my distinct pleasure to be a part of the program, part of the broadcast team, and to watch you guys play from 5th, 6th grade on up until last season. So, well done.
I'm going to, for my kind of closing remarks, I was trying to come up with something, and I read through some of these things that the seniors were going to share with the younger lacrosse players, and start to talk about the class of 2020 and leaving a legacy to the program. Some of these things are profound, and given the time we're in and what happened to these guys with missing prom and graduation, their lacrosse season, these just struck me as profound, and it's the best closing statement that I could make. And maybe some of these things are things that become ingrained in the program and get passed down to some of the younger generations, because 3-4 years down the line, the players may not know who some of these guys are, but there's some wisdom in this stuff, and there's some wisdom for all of us, actually. So I'm just going to kind of read through them and mention the player that said it again. There's 6 or 7 of them, and that'll kind of be my conclusion of this, and then Ken will kind of wrap us up and take us off the air. So again, all of these are just something else here. This one's from Matthew Verbeek. Enjoy your time at Eagan. It goes fast. You never know what game is going to be your last. I don't think any of these guys realize that the playoff game against St. Thomas here last year was their last game. Zach Merwin, enjoy every second of the season. Ryan Colbert, enjoy the ride while it lasts, boys. It will truly be one of the most amazing experiences of your life, and it goes by in the blink of an eye. Damian Schultz, play every game like it's your last. Cole Gibson, enjoy the moment, make the moments count. Matthew Salamone, cherish your time playing lacrosse. Enjoy spending time with your teammates and never taking it for granted, because you never know when it could be all over. The last one comes from one of our captains, Tommy, and this will be the final one. Don't think lacrosse will last forever. One day it will end. And I hope that you know when your last game will be. Unfortunately, I didn't know when my last game was going to be. So my message is to play every game like it's the last one you'll ever play.
Yep. And, that sentiment is something that I'll take us off the air with real quickly. And I mentioned this to my family and to Zach and to a few other people. Had I known that those arduous trips out to Savage in the winter and the cold, trudging in and trying to figure out how to park when there's no lines, to watch Winter Prep League, which was some terrific lacrosse. If I would have known that was it for my high school lacrosse career as a parent, I would have just saw it differently. And that can carry over into everything in life. So the wisdom about pay attention, guys. It could be your last. We don't know when it is. And so leave it to the 18-year-olds to kind of draw attention, because my senior year, your senior year, wasn't anything like this. These guys are living it, and they're smiling, and they're getting through it. So we appreciate your time. Can't thank Jesse enough for trying to shed some light, literally and figuratively, on the situation. Felcher, thanks for everything, and I hope to see you on the turf again soon, literally, with what's going on behind us. Coach Matea, all the coaches at the other levels, the Booster Club, of course, we can't say enough, the parents, of course, our athletes from the lowest of levels, EAA all the way up, and, of course, while we're here tonight, in the dark now, Coach Felcher, our seniors. So from all of us to all of you guys, I think that's it. God bless. Stay well. Wear a mask, 6 feet 1 inch, and wash your hands.
Good night.